Hey everybody, it's Dr. Friedman, and today we are going to talk low carb dieting, low carbohydrate eating. I got my notes right here, so let's get going. So there's been a lot of confusion as to what exactly low carb is, what it is, why we do it, what's the purpose of it. Is it good for us? Is it bad for us? So let me see if I can get through some of those myths and misconceptions today, maybe some questions you might have. First of all, low carbohydrate does not mean high fat. A lot of people read the Atkins diet and they read the first chapter or two, and he says for the first 2 weeks you eat nothing more than 20-25 grams of carbohydrate a day and eat all the fat you want. You know what? If you don't like it, you don't have to eat it. Low carbohydrate is just that. It's low carbohydrate. It's not high fat. So let's define what a carbohydrate is, and then we understand what low carb dieting is, or low carb eating is. So a carbohydrate is nothing more than sugar. Okay, biochemically speaking, carbohydrates are long-chain sugars. So let's look at what foods make those. Well, let's look at what the body does with those sugars. What do we use carbohydrates for? Carbohydrates are used for energy. What else do we use carbohydrates for? Nothing. There is no other purpose for carbohydrates in the body but energy. So physiologically speaking, we really don't even need to eat them. There's no such thing as an essential carbohydrate. So when we look at what foods are made from carbohydrates, that's all your grains. That's your wheat and rye and oats and barley and hops and spelt and semolina and quinoa and all these other millet, buckwheat. These are all grains. Rice is a grain, and corn is not a vegetable. That is a grain. So now, what foods do we make with these grains? Well, flour, anything made out of flour, whether it's rice flour or wheat flour or rye flour, those are all grains. It's all carbohydrates. So that basically means baked goods are carbohydrates. Now, it doesn't mean they don't taste good. It just means that they're not generally good for us. So that's bread and pasta and rice and cereal and cakes, candies, cookies. Flour and sugar in general are carbohydrates. So avoiding those foods, eating vegetables, protein, and some fruit, that's low carb eating. It's pretty simple. May not be easy in the beginning, but it is simple. So now let's look at what other foods are carbohydrates. Oh, quick note, I said hops and barley and all that. Beer, I hate to tell you, is nothing more than liquid bread, and that not good. Not just the booze, but the carbohydrate in it, a really bad idea for us. So vegetables also are carbohydrates. Now vegetables are very, very good for us because they contain a lot of phytochemicals, a lot of vitamins and minerals and nutrients. They also contain a great source of fiber. Fiber has a whole other story, but overall fiber is good for us. Okay, and fruit. Fruit can be good for us. Now, if you're going to eat fruit, the whole fruit, and nothing but the fruit, sorry, bad joke, it's great for you. It's real good. If you start to take that fruit and juice it, not as good because you don't get that fiber. Plus, the sugar in fruit is called fructose, and fructose is really, really hard, specifically on the liver. There's a Dr. Robert Lustig. You can do a search on him on YouTube. He does an hour-and-a-half dissertation on why fructose is so god-awful. He is in charge of the endocrinology department at University of California, San Francisco's medical school. So just do a YouTube search, Robert Lustig, Lustig, and it is absolutely fascinating at how god-awful this stuff is. So again, fruit is something you want to eat whole. Vegetables are things you want to eat whole. Food is in the way it is because that's how God and nature intended us to eat it, is whole. I don't recall seeing any juice trees out there, so might be something to look into. So why is it important to avoid the bread, the pasta, the rice, and all that refined foods? All the refined foods are the ones that are really bad for us. Let me check my notes here. Basically, the big trick in lowering your carbohydrate intake is controlling your insulin levels. Now, insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas and it has a couple different jobs in the body. One of those jobs is to take this glucose, which is the sugar your body uses for fuel, and store some of it as glycogen. We don't get a whole lot of glycogen storage, but some. The rest gets stored as fat. That's why we get fat. That's why America is 66% overweight and like 30% obese. This is why we are a fat society. We eat too much carbohydrate, we eat too much refined foods, too much high fructose corn syrup and sugar in general, and your body will store it as fat. Insulin takes it, stores it as fat. It's pretty simple. When we eat a high carbohydrate diet, we are looking for heart disease, we're looking for diabetes. Diabetes is nothing more than a garbage diet. I know your parents had it, your grandparents had it, blah, blah, blah. It's because you eat a garbage diet. It didn't run in your family, a garbage eating runs in your family. You know, you might be more susceptible, so that means you have to be even more careful about what you eat. So by keeping your carbohydrates low, you keep your insulin low, you're going to normalize your blood fats, your lipid panels, your cholesterol, you're going to get your triglycerides down, you're going to get your blood sugar down. When blood sugar is out of control, you're in trouble. You're going to lower your blood pressure. It's one of the things that can cause high blood pressure is high insulin. It can help to reverse some metabolic syndrome, which is pre-diabetes. It can help, you're going to lose weight. If you're resistant to it, there's more to it than that, and we can work with that, but you're going to be better off in the long run for it. Now, there's a wonderful book, Good Calories, Bad Calories, by Gary Taubes. He writes for Science Magazine. It gets all the research that's ever been done on low carb diets from the mid to early 1800s up to the most current research since the book was written a couple of years ago. Phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal book. I cannot stress it enough. It's a little technical, a little dry, but spectacular book. There's Protein Power by the Eads. Great book. Atkins, of course, started it all. Again, read the whole book. It's not about the first 2 weeks. There's Joe Mercola, No Grain Diet. Right? No Grain Diet, Joe Mercola, great website, mercola.com, MERCOLA.com. And then there's Life Without Bread by Dr. Wolfgang Lutz. So big key is keep your carbs low, controls your insulin, will make your life a lot nicer, healthier, and happier. Quick thing, go visit my blog, drderekfriedmanblog.com. Here we go. And my website, some other great information, docfriedman.com. That's drderekfriedmanblog.com and docfriedman.com. If you have any questions, any thoughts, anything you want to share, please let me know. If you have any topics you want me to cover, let me know. And thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.